Grace and peace. Um, Let me see. I can't see no numbers up here, but I'm gonna give y'all a couple of seconds to go in. I'm not talking loud. They're out there, and we're on a break. So I want to make sure. Let me peek on these, because these guys are coming and just wanting to start to talk. Miss B, good morning. How do I sound, Miss B? I'm hoping that I sound. I don't even have the other phone with me. I'm hoping that I sound okay. But there's some things I'm good. All right, there's some things that I'm gonna try to get into. I'm gonna try to explain. I went and y'all know I did a video yesterday with some other stuff going on. It says 150. No, it says 54 seconds. I'm gonna try to give some people some time to get in here. I know my thing is a little slow. I'm hoping that it's working. Do me a favor, type one again. I'm hoping it's all right. 8:31. I'm hoping everything is working okay. I um I think a few people have me confused. So I said I'm gonna get on here live. I'm gonna drop this video, and all right, I sound good, right? I'm gonna get on here and I'm gonna drop this video and I'm gonna try to explain some stuff because some people got me confused. Some people may think some people may think that this is the new Hebrew channel. I don't want people to think that. This is not a Hebrew channel. This is a truth channel because I share certain things. People can get confused, and there's some people out here that's confused as to what I do, and the purpose of this platform, why I have this platform here. A lot of people been coming on and they ask certain questions, and I'm going to go down in the comments and I'm going to share certain things in the comments. But I get people and they think that this is like, this is a Hebrew channel and I'm against Christianity. I am a Christian. I tell people I'm a Christian, but I speak out against Christianity and things that are involved in Christianity, and that bothers people. But that's what I'm called to do. I'm called to bring truth. And truth is not, what get a lot of people confused is truth is not just on one side. I find that there's a lot of people that think that, well, I'm Kojic. I grew up Kojic, and Kojic have all the truth. Or they're moderates, and moderates have all the truth. Or they're Baptists, and Baptists have all the truth. That's not how truth works. God's truth doesn't work like that. A lot of these denominations and a lot of these movements that came about, anytime, man, let me tell y'all something. Anytime man get involved in something, it can get a little messy or it can be a little confusing. And that's kind of what's going on with some people not knowing my position. They want to put me in a certain box. So a lot of people are run here thinking this is a Hebrew channel, but I'm going to bring out truth in general. I'm saying I want certain people to be heard. And that's the fair thing, because people that's truly in search of a truth, they need to hear all sides of the story. And like I said, when I was involved in apologetics and stuff, doing strictly what we would call urban apologetics, a lot of times I see that people in apologetics don't want to be truthful with everything and throw everything out there on the table. And that's what I'm attempting to do. People get upset with me and people want to know, well, what's your position? I want to know your position on the rapture. I want to know your position on the Trinity. I tell people my position, but I don't push my position. And people get confused with that. What do you mean you tell people your position? I tell people I'm a Bible thumper on the law, tongue talking Pentecostal. I tell people that. But right now, I'm among Baptist people, and I'll probably be here until the end of the year. If I'm here for the rest of the year, these people will never hear me speak in tongues. Why not the spirit of the prophet is subject unto the prophet? I don't need to do that. Now I got Pentecostal friends who'll be like, they need the Holy Ghost, and they'll go on it. I don't need to do all of that stuff. But there's some people that feel that they have to do it because they get around people, and those people are specifically Baptist, so I gotta speak in tongues so they can feel it, so they can catch the ghost, they can catch the spirit. I don't believe in all of that stuff, and I don't have to do that stuff as a believer. I think in the days that we're living in, believers need to be more mature, and believers need to understand certain things. So I have people that would be considered moderates that can come around and sit in a Bible study. I go worship. I went the last 2-3 Sundays. I've been out besides church every day over here. I've been out and I've been fellowshipping. I've been worshiping with oneness Pentecostals. That bothers some people. That bothers a lot of people. But it doesn't bother me. I'm worshiping. I know they don't have everything together and we don't agree everything doctrinally. But I'm not going to put those people in hell because of that. And there's a lot of people that got problems with that. But we need to know your position. I'm fundamentalist. I'm talking Christian. I believe in the virgin birth. I believe Jesus is the eternal king. But at the same time, I'm going to tell other people if they don't use the word Trinity, they're not going to hell. Therefore, people want to call, who is your pastor? Where you go? Because they want to call it snitch. Y'all can't snitch on me. Y'all don't control anything. I'm here to make people think. I'm here to make believers think. In the midst of this, people come through and they get confused. So sometime atheists will come through. Sometime Torah-only Israelites will come through. Sometime camp people will come through. They come through, they'll find out quickly once they hear me talking, and this isn't camp doctrine I'm pushing. I'm not pushing camp doctrine. I'm not pushing moderate doctrine. I'm pushing truth. And I want people to know that there's more than one story. There's more than one denomination. There's more than one movement that were believers. Just like in the first century, there were people that didn't go to the church, didn't go to the temple, but they read Torah. They named the Essenes. We believe the Dead Sea Scrolls came from them in Qumran. And then you had the Sadducees that didn't believe in angels, but they went to the temple and they had Torah too. So people have to grow and understand these things. Then you had the Pharisees. You had John the Baptist over here. They trying to figure out he was a Sadducee. Was he a Essene? What was he? They trying to figure things out because we're used to putting individuals in boxes. But I can't really be put in a box in the sense that I want people to begin to understand that there's some truths out here that maybe your doctrine doesn't carry. Another thing that bothers people when we start talking about this is that everything that we're discussing, everything I speak on, we inherited these things. There's things that we received from Charles Finney and from Richard Allen and Absalom Jones and Prince Hall and Tertullian and Augustine. There's things we received from Paul the Apostle. There's things that we received that came down. So now people are trying to say, good to see you on 1973. A lot of people trying to figure out where do we go? How do we handle these things? Oh, people have been arguing tulip and once saved, always saved, and Calvinism and all. People have been arguing all of this stuff before we were born. How is the Bible the inspired word of God? What do we mean inerrant Protestant Catholic? We've been arguing this stuff before all of us were born. People were arguing these things. So I want people to know that I want them to hear and understand both sides of the argument so they can have a fair understanding. Some people got upset that I spoke on Sister Nephi in the video, and one brother said, well, we don't need Zondervan to prove, listen to this, and I'm gonna put it in my Facebook comment, but I'm gonna black his name out in the sister name. He said, we don't need Zondervan to prove that black people are Israelites. And I agree with that, absolutely so. And with that same energy, let's get rid of everything, including the Bible. Let's get rid of verses that's irrelevant to the cause. Judah mourneth, Judah is black unto the ground, and pushing the chart and saying blacks in America are the tribe of Judah because of that verse. Absolutely not. That verse never meant that. So now the question comes up with interpretation. Can a verse mean what it was never meant to mean? Or should we go back to look at the author's intended meaning? Or can we just take any verse and make it say what it wants? You are of your father the devil, and the lust of your fathers you will do. White people came from another planet to this planet to put us out, and we have to go back to our planet. That's making up doctrine and using verses. You can do anything with allegorical thought. You can do anything interpreted and writ that way, and that's a serious problem. So these are things that I bring out. But the brother, so when he brought that out, that we don't need Von Zondervan, I agree, absolutely so. We don't need Revelation 2 and Revelation 3 either. We don't need the Song of Solomon, I am black but comely. I don't need that to promote the chart. That has nothing to do with the chart. That's not even Solomon speaking. So we got to understand these things, and a lot of people don't. But he said some other stuff, and he went on to say something that was interesting. I'm going to put it up in the comments. He said when it comes down to it, he said black people were not Christians until the 20th century. We got a problem. Houston, we got a problem. If we're all reading the same Bible, and the other sister agreed, and the other sister said, well, the Hebrews had to flee. Hebrews were never Christians. The Hebrews had to flee persecution from the Christians. I guess basically she's saying when the Christians started their paganism, that the Hebrews had to flee. Now, when I'm into truth and I'm involved in truth, we would have to ask ourselves certain questions. That's how come I tell people simple things. When did Christianity begin? When we start looking at timelines, when did Christianity begin? What documents can we go to prove that Hebrews had to flee, let's say, Jerusalem from Christians Who do we go to? Josephus? Do we go to Tacitus? Do we go to Strabo? Do we go to Africanus? Do we go to Dr. Ben? Who do we go to? Because that's a serious statement if Hebrews weren't Christians and the Hebrews had to flee from the Christians. I like what the brothers from Teo Ministry said. They said, when I said, what 3 books would you bring to a debate? What do you deal with? They said, the first thing you'll deal with is the Bible. Now, that's a good place because a lot of people are confused with that. We see in the Bible, the New Testament, the book of Acts is the history of Messiah. Now, I'm not talking about Torah only. I don't really deal with Torah only Israelites. The majority of Israelites that come through and we build together are considered moderates. They're not even camp people. They don't believe the chart. They don't believe that. So they're moderates. We can understand them. Now, people would get upset at the term moderates because other people gave them that term. Just like other people gave the people in Antioch the term Christians. 1,000 years from now, historians are going to want to look at something. They're going to want to know about moderates. And if you mix moderates with GMS, people are going to be upset. So they use terms to separate people so people can know these Christians are different from those other people over there. But originally they were a sect of people that were known as Israelites, and some believed in the Messiah. The movement was called the Way. But in Antioch, it was called Christians, Acts 11:26. They were first called Christians in Antioch. Now, if they were first called Christians in Antioch, we got to find out who was in Antioch. Antioch, the 13th chapter, I draw your attention to. And it was certain prophets and teachers in Antioch, which is Rufus and Barnabas and Paul. I want to stop right there. And Mannion and others, but I want to talk about Barnabas and I want to talk about Paul. We can trace Barnabas back to his nephew Mark, and we can trace Barnabas back to his sister Mary, and Mary's house was one of the first churches. A lot of people that was in Mary's house in the book of Acts when Peter was under arrest, a lot of those people were in the upper room. They were all Israelites. So if those leaders that were separated, and later on in the 14th chapter, in the 14th verse, Barnabas and Paul were called apostles, they were Israelites that were in Antioch, and they were known as Christians. Part of the ministerial team that set up the church in Antioch were Christians, were Israelite Christians. So where are we getting this from? Where can we get information? Strabo, like I said, Herodotus, Diodorus. Can we go to Dr. Ben? Can we go to Josephus? Who was Josephus anyway? I want to ask y'all about Josephus. Philo, who can we go to prove that Christians in the beginning ran off Israelites out of Jerusalem? That's impossible. No historian, no atheist historian will go for that. They'll say the Israelites started acting crazy up after they was underneath the rule of the Romans for years. They started acting crazy, and the Romans had to come in there and put a smash to it. And then 132, 135, it went on again. What history are we reading? This ain't even Christian history. This is secular history that everybody can read. Atheists can read it. Comedic community can read it. Muslims can read it. That's established the world over what happened with the Jews in the 1st century, what happened with Israel in the 1st century. Bart Ehrman, you go to Atheist, if you go to Milwaukee Radio Atheist.com, you go to Richard Carrier, everybody will tell you Christianity began in the 1st century. How can the brother post inside on the comment section, how can that brother quote post wasn't no Christians until the 20th century, and somebody else put facts? How is that facts? What do we do with Nat Turner? What do we do with the slave narratives? What do we do with Harriet Tubman? What do we go do with African St. Augustine, Tertullian? What do we do with Lalibelum, the Coptic, the Ethiopian church? J.A. Rogers, 100 amazing facts about the Negro, Ethiopia, the first Christian nation on the planet. What do we do with the book of Acts, the 8th chapter, where the Ethiopian spoke to Philip and he said, what does hinder me to be? He told him, he said, there's water right there. I want to be baptized. He said, if you believe on the Lord Jesus Christ. And that's the confession of a Christian according to Romans 10, 9, and 10. Where is this coming from? The only person that I know would even make crazy comments like that I've ever heard it from were people like Seti. I can say I heard it from him when he started talking about Torah being newer than the New Testament, that Judaism is an AD religion, from Walter Williams. And Walter Williams even go against Dr. Ben Van Sertima, Sheikh T. Diop, and everybody else, let alone Gates and all of the real scholars. Snowden and Kitchen and everybody. Name scholars, name historians, and they don't have to be Christians. Atheists and Muslims know this. That's what I'm saying. This is the world over. This is in Harvard. This is in Yale. This is in Sing Sing and Attica. Where is this stuff coming from? But I can't be mad because I feel some type of way. Those white guys in Georgia, they ran down that brother. They ran that brother down, and in running that brother down, they turned around and they said that they seen him going in houses. I feel some type of way, but I can't feel some type of way because of what those white gentlemen did towards that brother. I can't feel some type of way and start doing make believe. And a lot of us, because of our bitterness, because of being upset with people, we're blindly following stuff and just listening to stuff. I don't trust the internet. Y'all don't, please, I beg y'all, don't trust me. Go behind me and see what I'm saying. Nobody can show and prove that Christians ran Israelites out of Jerusalem. The Israelites they were doing what they were living good for a minute. The Romans was giving them freedom, but they wanted to do what they wanted to do. They wanted to make it happen. They couldn't wait for that king. They said, listen, we're going to make it. And they started wilding out. And in the midst of their wilding out, they felt the wrath of Rome. And that's when they were dispersed. And now we're attempting to look at history. Where were they dispersed to? The Middle East, Spain, Portugal. There's many people arguing that they went to the interior Africa, and that's the majority, where the majority of them went. We'll bring up Babylonian captivity and Assyrian after Ezra, who didn't even go back in the intertestamental period. But who do we go to? Who are scholars? What has established history so far? We can't argue from silence. They burnt up all of the books. That's like when the Library of Alexandria burnt up, and then that's when they switched the colors on us. You know, people can come with different theories and argue from silence and put speculation in, but as detectives can say, we don't have no evidence to arrest them folk right now, but we know from rumors we think such and such and such. Other detectives will say, I got a hunch, but they'll wait. They'll watch the person, might put a GPS on their car, they'll wait. You can't run down on them with evidence, and you can't get them now. Due process of the law, you can't go to jail if you don't got the evidence. We're going to take our time and we're going to find the evidence. I know cops sometimes manufacture stuff, but we don't want to do pseudo stuff that we speak about and start manufacturing evidence. We can't manufacture evidence. So how do I know what's going on with that? How can we explain some of that stuff? Acts the 13th chapter is very heavy. We said we're arguing about certain things right now. We can argue about moderates and we can argue about the camps, but nobody, Paul, if you go to Elaine Pagels and them, you go to Gary Habermas, you go to anybody, Mike, go to anybody that's a scholar, Voddie Beckham, go to anybody that's a scholar in the field. Go to people that even studied it for a while and we don't even consider scholar. Minister Farrakhan will tell you that Paul and Barnabas. Nobody doubt that Peter was an Israelite. Nobody doubting that. We doubting some of these folk running around here right now, but nobody doubting Paul is an Israelite and Barnabas was an Israelite and Mary and Mark and them was Israelite, John the Baptist. Nobody doubting that. We're not playing games with that right there. So if Paul and Barnabas and there was a bunch of Israelites that were in Antioch that set up shop in Antioch and they were called originally people away and people started calling them Christians, they were Christian Israelites. They were Christian Israelites. This is why I fight so hard to attempt to get people to understand what we would call the primitive church. They were Israelites, and they didn't have no Christmas tree. They were Israelites and they didn't have no Easter egg, and they were Christians and they didn't have no Easter egg. They didn't celebrate Halloween. They didn't really celebrate the first lady's birthday and all the pastor anniversary. They didn't do all of that stuff. They didn't do all of that stuff. That's how come I say it's good to go back and see certain stuff. So that's what we're going to do. So I want people to know that I'm not here gangbanging for anybody. People would hear me say certain things because I'm bringing out truths. I would say certain things like, listen, all Freemasons can't be devils, all oneness Pentecostals. You can't say everybody's going to hell because whoever don't want to use the word Trinity is going to hell. That means everybody before Theophilus and them, that means everybody in the first century, Paul and everybody going to hell. Because Paul didn't use the word Trinity. Mark, John, Barnabas, none of them used the word Trinity. So pastors get upset with me on that sense. I can't say that all Freemasons are devil worshippers and they all going to hell. No, there was Freemasons that believed on the Lord Jesus Christ. Richard Allen, Absalom Jones, Prince Hall. Where would the African American community be without Prince Hall Freemasonry? They done a lot. They done a lot, but even before the Civil Rights Movement, they done a lot. So I bring these things out, and Freemasons would come. Yeah, he's one of us. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Don't make me one of y'all. And an Israelite will hear me say, you can't condemn every Israelite because they want to banish the Christmas tree and get that nonsense out the church. And he want us. No, I'm not. I'm not an Israelite, nor am I a Freemason. I just want truth to come out to the platform, and I want a place where people are able to dialogue. That's all it is. Oh, you close to being one of us? Why? Because I'm speaking something that you identify with. I'm bringing out established truth that's out here, and I want people to see and learn and be able to dialogue and deal with other people from a different denomination. It's all money. We all believers. If you got $1 million in singles, $1 million in 20, I'd rather $1 million in $100 bills. or in a check that I can go to the bank, or in cash. But a million is a million. They're just different denominations, but it's the same across the board. The Essenes were Israelites, the Pharisees were Israelites, the Sadducees were Israelites. Just different groups, different denominations, but they were the same thing. The same thing with the church, and we have different. We have Methodists, and we have the A, and we have the Baptist people. We got Kojic, Pentecost, oneness. We got different, but it's all the same thing. It's all Christianity. It's all believers. So like I said, we have to get down to some basics. We have to lay into some basics just to get clarity on stuff. And like I said, some stuff been around for a long time. So it's going to take a while to get clarity on certain subjects. It's going to definitely take a while. But I don't want to fool people and have people thinking that this is an Israelite channel or this is a Pentecostal channel. It's the guy that's on here. I'm Pentecostal. Like I said, I'm a tongue-talking, Bible-thumping Pentecostal, but I don't push that on people. I don't say that so I can build in people that, they come around and they don't hear me say that. They don't know what I am, and to get people upset. What are you? I'm like a professor on the block. Pastors don't understand it because this is block talk. This is block stuff right here. So if I was in the church, it'll be a different story. But a lot of times, professors lecturing, if they lecturing in MIT, if they lecturing in Yale or somewhere, you don't know what their personal beliefs are. They're giving you the information. They're just putting the information out there. People like when I put out information. Oh yeah, that's a good Christian apologist. But as soon as I start saying banging on the church, oh, you causing division. No, it's the same thing. It's information coming out, but people get upset. Even today, people with the same color skin all over the world do not consider themselves blacks like blacks in America. Miss B, that's how come I like coming here with y'all, because y'all make so much sense. When these people running out here, black people, you need to unite. Black people need to unite. That's nonsense to me. Black folk, we ain't never, on the continent of Africa, black folk was never united. In the history of this planet. Why would they say that all of a sudden now? We all need to unite. Unite for what? We're going through some unique things over here. You'll be surprised how many people from Ghana, people from Nigeria that's black like me, that don't consider me their brother. I'm American. I'm different. I'm different. And this is why we got to understand certain things. And like I told people, it takes time to even discuss race. It's hurtful that we got to bring race, which is a social concept. This is make-believe. And we're trying to put make-believe and understand this in light of the Bible. But these people have used it so much. It's so powerful. So many people can't even read the text outside of slavery and racism and Jim Crow. They can't even read an ancient spiritual text that God is speaking to our spirits. Grace and peace, BJ. And that's hurtful, but that's what it is. And because I bring these things out, people can get upset with me. Well, he can't be a good Christian. I'm not a good Christian because I would have to bring up race, because you have to bring up something in order to deal with the thing. A doctor and a robber, I told y'all the other day, doctors and robbers both use knives, but the doctor would use a knife to cut you to make you better. A robber gonna use a knife to rob you and get what you got and leave you for dead. And that's kind of the difference. But because some pastors don't understand what I do, they don't have to understand what God has called me to do. But because they don't understand it, they want to speak against it. This is where we have to kind of be careful. If that guy know what he's doing and he know what God has called him to do, let him do it. I don't understand it. I can't totally say it's not Bible, but it's not what we have been doing traditionally. Other pastors say, listen, I understand what you're doing. I support you. You over there. I'm not coming on there. Don't say my name, but I support you, brother. We appreciate that. We know it's needed, and it's hard conversations that you have. But in all actuality, for people to grow spiritually, they need to have these things. The truth of the matter is some pastors don't want this thing to grow. They don't want a Hebrew discussion why they like things the way they are. So I'm like, no, wait a minute. We got to have this. It's not going anywhere. So we got to have this discussion. Some parents are scared to talk to their kids about sex. Next thing you know, your kids know about rubbers. They know how to have sex. They don't have sex. They know what oral sex. They know what everything is. And you will, maybe next summer we'll sit down and talk with them on their birthday. Too late. Too late. Your daughter done had one abortion already. She done had two boyfriends. By the time you trying to tell her, explain to her what a condom is. We were a little behind, and we have been behind like that in the church. But the church, God's people, we're all believers on the Lord Jesus Christ, the Most High God. So I test people. I would use Jesus' name, and some people go, oh God, you gotta call him. You can't pray like he ain't hearing you if you say Jesus. Y'all mean good, and they mean good, but they're not really that mature. I could be around people, and it's all right. Y'all want to say Yah? We gonna say Yah. It's the God of the Bible. The way you describe him, yep, that's my king. They may use another word, but that's my king. I know him. But other people defend them. If you got to say it and you got to do it this one way, there's no other way. Jesus healed blind people, leopards, different ways. The same thing. They didn't care. They were so happy they got healed. We got to understand how God is moving in this hour. All right, y'all. I'm going back in. Obedience is better than sacrifice. They terrorizing me, but I'm gonna be live later on, hopefully. So I appreciate everybody. I'm gonna get out of here right now. Talk to y'all later.